might be low in dopamine. How do you know if you're low in dopamine? Let's talk about some of the things. You are low in dopamine if you lack motivation, if you experience feelings of guilt a lot, if you struggle with low self-worth, if you don't if you aren't able to tap into having hope. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that just helps you to feel good, and we need dopamine in our brain. Now, we can get little artificial hits of dopamine. One way that it happens for me is scrolling TikTok. It could be any social media. The pictures are beautiful. I've got to navigate this tide. Oh, shoot. The pictures are beautiful, and you get a little hit of dopamine, and that can actually burn out your dopamine receptors. Getting that constant hit of dopamine. Maybe yours is Instagram, maybe yours is Facebook, but scrolling that consistently burns out your dopamine receptors. So what do? There are some things on social media that I absolutely love. I love social media when it's used the right way, the right balance. So let's go back to dopamine. Oh, Netflix binging, or Hulu, or Peacock, or Paramount Plus, or Disney, or whichever one it is for you. But binging series can be signs of low dopamine. Knowing you need to do something, but you're just not doing it, and you just sit there. Low dopamine. Um, excuse me. Attention issues. Low dopamine. So, what do? You might have some of those symptoms. I'm not diagnosing you. I'm not telling you. I'm just saying I am someone who has to be very cognizant and aware of dopamine and what's happening. So, two of my favorite foods for dopamine specifically are salmon, but not any salmon, wild caught salmon. You gotta be picky on that one. Wild caught salmon. Another one are eggs. You have to be picky on those though. It's not just any old egg. It needs to come from a chicken that's been raised in a super, super happy environment, that's been fed a soy-free diet. That's really important. My husband does this a little bit. He cringes when I buy the eggs that I buy. They're crucial though, and I remind him, this is my choline, and I need choline in my body. And then he laughs and he says, you're right. And he puts a smile back on his face, and we buy the most expensive eggs on planet Earth. So there are other foods, but those are two of my go-tos for helping the body. Tryptophan. So any food, I'm going to turn around and see if I can get back to that tide, and get across that little curve. So tryptophan, foods that are high in tryptophan. Your body needs tryptophan. Beef done the correct way, so not just any beef. That's what turned me around to really knowing the source and origin of my foods. So we've talked about some foods to help dopamine. Ooh, but let's talk the most important thing. Yesterday there was a little bit of confusion, and so I want to create clarity. I made a comment and said, if you can't get up in the early morning, a job, I don't know, just whatever. If you can't do that, the time of day with the fullest spectrum of light is between 8 and 10 a.m. But dopamine is made in your body when light enters your eye. Remember, you've got that light receptor, and it changes your brain. changes your brain. And the best, the most powerful dopamine creating light waves that are scattered are as the sun comes up. You just, it's the best. Now, I've moved my life around in ways that I'm able to do that. I didn't do that overnight though. That was a process. I don't know where you're at, but understand from 8 to 10 does not have the strongest dopamine. And that might be the best option for you. I have put those things into place to get up, to be up when the sun comes up. Now, if you can see behind me, I don't know if you can see that very well. I can't even see the sun coming up today. There is such a marine layer. Oh, if I hurry, I can make it around this corner. Okay, I have to wait a little bit. I checked my tides today and they're going out now. So once it goes down, I'll be able to do it. So there's not a lot of sunshine today. Kristen, what are you talking about? You're not out there in the sunshine. 80% of those, I'm gonna make it around this corner without getting my shoes all wet. Did I make it? Yes, almost, hold on. I didn't plan on this. Okay. Ooh, I don't want my shoes to get all wet. Okay, I've got one more. Shoot. Okay, a little bit of rock climbing today too. So, okay, here we go. Shoot. Oh, come on, Kristen. Okay, there. I think I made it. So, hold on. Little spurts like that are so good when you're walking because, gotta see, am I better to go over this rock or around that wave? I'm gonna go around the wave. Little spurts like that are really good when you're walking because it helps your body not get accustomed to the same thing every morning. Okay. There's a tide pool I'm gonna have to jump over. Oh, okay. So that dopamine, it's the last rock I've got to get around. I'll stand up here for a little bit. That dopamine, up higher. Okay. That dopamine, I've got to keep my eye on that water so I can get around. I just want around that one last big rock. That dopamine, that morning sun hitting your eye, it does not get any stronger than that for dopamine levels. And I want strong dopamine levels. I want my mood to be lifted. If you're wanting to feel good, if you're wanting to be connected to hope, if you're wanting to hold your self-worth and hold it strong, if you are wanting to have follow-through, like maybe you think, ooh, I need to reach out to that person and love on them, and then it never happens, might be a dopamine issue. If you're tired of being pulled to social media and you're scrolling and all of a sudden an hour is gone and you did not plan on an hour getting lost in a vortex of social media, could be because that morning light, you're not getting enough to hit your photoreceptors. Now today also it's colder, and so I don't have as much of my skin showing because I would have been miserable with the cold. I'm still out here with my sweatshirt on in non-perfect conditions because I know that 80% of that sunrise that's happening right over that way is hitting my eyes, and it's helping my body with dopamine. Now, I think it's tomorrow, maybe Sunday or Monday, because I'm doing this every single day. We're going to talk about melatonin, because dopamine and melatonin work together. So the more dopamine you have, the better you can shut off your melatonin and produce that. So we're going to talk about that on our melatonin day, but today's dopamine. So one of the things I'd really love for you to do today is I would love for you to think, where are those places that I'm not motivated? Where are those places and times that I'm scrolling and just scrolling? And do I ever have a hard time getting a project started? And do I experience feelings of low self-worth? If you said yes to any of those, let's get you up in the morning with that morning sun. Now, maybe you don't have a whole hour. I know a couple of you didn't have a whole hour, but you did 10 minutes. Imperfect action creates health. If you don't have a whole hour, but you've got 10 minutes, don't not do it. Imperfect. Perfection people just stay stuck. They stay stuck. In fact, I had the sweetest, one of my gifts to the Core 7 women, and I had to start it now for my Christmas gifts to them, because I'm super into gifts. One of my gifts to them, and I was a little dorky, but I said, I'll give you an appointment. So I had to start now to get those appointments all done by December. So they started their appointment. We just started them yesterday. Started their appointment with Merry Christmas. And one of them has been so understanding perfectionism. And she said, Kristen, people will report back. She's in a boss type situation. She's the boss. People will report back and they'll say, perfect. That was perfect. And she said, I noticed I used the words always and never a whole bunch. If you're using those words, that's a sign that you're playing that perfectionism. And perfectionists do not get healthy. Doesn't matter what you do. Perfectionists do not get healthy. Now, all of us, you, I, everybody, every single person has that ability to be a perfectionist. It's part of the journey and experience. It's if we give it energy. If we give it energy, and she's recognizing the power of her words. Now, interestingly enough, here's the interesting connection. She made, got something in my pocket. Oh, a lip bulb. She made that connection after about a week of walking in the early morning sunshine. You have better insight into yourself, into your thoughts, your mind, when light is triggered in your eye and fills your brain with dopamine. And I just want you to start being aware, am I in a dopamine trap? So I have a little timer that I set because I do love social media. I go on social media with a very specific agenda. I am doing this, and then I'm off, and that really helps me. So I want to know, we've got about it's vacillating between 13 and 15 people. I want to know where you're coming in from. Oh, let's see comments here. Oh my gosh. Okay, I had the wrong button on for comments. I'm on StreamYard and it's a little bit different. Oh, I love it. Good morning from Utah. Dana, love you back. Oh, you're so welcome. That's the kindest comment, isn't it? It's Jackie, it's so beautiful here. I want everyone right now just to take a minute and appreciate the beauty of where you're at, because I know there's a beautiful space where you're at. Oh, David, waving hello. David's a coach at Orange Theory Fitness. Love you and your kiddos and your wife to pieces. Janice coming in. Michigan, Hiram, I love it. Colleen. Shelly, our support specialist. Shelly, Beth, good morning. So I want you to put a hand over your heart and just think of what's the beauty around you. What's the beauty? You might not be like me and stuck on a rock because you can't get around that way to the waves and you're on plan B on your walk. Anyway, I saw that time the tides and everything, but I cannot get around that rock right now. Weeding garden in the morning sunshine. Interesting study I was just reading about, because we have such an explosion of dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, which are all connected to dopamine. Such an explosion, such an explosion. I don't know about you, but think of grandbabies. Are they on the screen earlier and longer than your kids were? Absolutely. Is there benefit to that? Absolutely. Is there downsides to that? Absolutely. And it's a dopamine issue. So let's get those kids outside, that sunshine coming into their eyes. Let's get your sunshine coming into your eyes so that we're boosting those dopamine levels. Autoimmune issues are a dopamine issue. Let's get that sunshine coming into that light receptor that's in your beautiful eyes, because we want those babies to be more healthy, not less healthy. And so, watching your words, prepping to walk down to my new small town 4th of July breakfast. It was interesting. Leanne, usually on the beach, I see very few people as the sun comes up. And today there will be a huge sand castle building thing on the beach. And so they are already out with their tents and they're prepping their sand and getting everything ready for their sand castle. So definitely much more. Oh, Eden is such a beautiful little valley. It is. Oh, I love that. Heading out into the sun. Beautiful. So sometimes some people will leave a live like this with a bigger stick to beat themselves up. And that's a sign of low dopamine. And I don't want you to do that. So let's talk about that. So I've talked about, especially if you're a perfectionist, and we all have that. We all have that. So I've talked about the best time to get sun rays is as the sun comes up. You might leave this live beating yourself up. Oh, I had planned to only do it from 8 to 10 or 8 to 9. I'm not doing it the best way. And a perfectionist attitude will be, therefore, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to research some more. Perfectionists research a lot. And so I always say action over research. You know a lot right now. You know enough right now today to create health. Perfectionist, research. Oh, Shelley. I love that, Shelley. I'll join you in that club. Recovering perfectionist. I love that. Moving to liberty. Okay, so we've got some people that are living by each other on the live. I love that. So we need that dopamine. You need that dopamine. Oh, muscle cramps in your body. I made the stronger connection. So many more people are emailing or texting or however we communicate, and they're saying, Kristen, I've started soaking in magnesium and the muscle cramping. And part of that is a calcium issue. But it's so important that we hold on to the grandma wisdom and we stay current with what's happening. Part of that is also a dopamine issue. So is what I started saying a while ago, because I've always, talked about calcium in that situation. And I don't want the wave to get me. I don't want my shoes wet because I've still got 6 or 7 miles to walk. Is what I've started adding to them and understanding that cramping and muscle spasms can be a dopamine issue. And I'll say, get out in the light more often. And then let's talk in a week. And guess what? It's made a huge difference. That's so exciting to me. And remember, we're doing this in July to lower inflammation. Having strong dopamine helps to keep your inflammation down, because one of the things I'm currently seeing is magnesium numbers aren't moving like they used to. It's not the same. And I want to be a part of setting you up for success. So doing this in July is prepping us to move our magnesium numbers stronger, higher, easier. I love easy. I love easy. In August. So we're going to do that in August, a 30-day magnesium challenge, and just focus on magnesium. But if you've got high inflammation, and then so you soak in magnesium and it only does this much, and then you're like, that woman on Facebook and YouTube's crazy, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Yeah, not when you're that sick. We got to get people healthier. So we're doing a prep. We're doing a magnesium prep, and this is our magnesium prep time to get ready, because I don't know about you, but I want to go into the fall strong. I am creating right now the strongest fall I will ever experience, and I'm doing the things now to make sure that's happening. I have to tell you an exciting thing that happened that gave me a dopamine rush. It does every single time I do it. I don't think it'll ever get old. I love giving away magnesium. I'll say sharing, because that other word's a trigger word for Facebook. Sharing magnesium. And I love it when people say, I never win anything. And we break through that broken belief. Like, oh, I love that. That's the best. And so yesterday to our texting group, we gave away 5. So we reached out to 5 people. Shelly and I scrolled the comments. We scrolled those people who had texted in, and we sent that out to them and asked for their addresses, and they're already being packed and ready to go. Now, right now, we're having the biggest magnesium sale ever. It will be it's better pricing now than what will happen at Black Friday, because magnesium costs, shipping costs went up so much. And so 12 days, we're having a massive magnesium sale. Go check it out, livingthegoodlifenaturally.com. I am going to talk about it every single day, because every time I do a sale, I get sometimes over 100 emails. I didn't know about the sale. I want everyone to know about the sale so they can make the best decision for them. Magnesium has an indefinite that's not the right word I wanted, but it has a shelf life of forever. In the heat, the cold, it can handle it. I like to be stocked up. You might like to be stocked up. If you like a great price, now is the time. Oh, did we even talk about magnesium and receptors? Okay, so you have dopamine receptors in your brain, and if those dopamine receptors do not have enough magnesium, they cannot utilize the sunshine coming in to your eyes. So dopamine and magnesium go hand in hand. You need to be at cell saturation if you want to feel good. I know that I have been spot on consistent. Depression has been wired a part of my journey since I was a very little girl. For very situational experiences, adverse childhood experiences, and I am feeling so good. Like I told my husband when we went to bed last night, I said, I had moments of happiness that just flowed, and it was so beautiful. And I had my daughter here. She's in between her graduate classes, and she needed a little ocean break, and it was just incredible to be with people that I love and have that happiness just effortlessly experience that. And that's what I want you to have, because when you feel good, when your neurotransmitters are working, you're more of you for your family, you're more of you for your neighborhood, you're more of you for your community, you're more of you for your state. And we need people showing up, feeling so good, and sharing their gifts. And yesterday was just, it was an effortless, happy day. And if you are like me and have experienced depression, you appreciate those days. And I'm not saying I will never experience the low again. I probably will, and that's okay. I've got my tools. It's okay. It does mean that those lows help me appreciate those highs and help me treasure every single one of them. So I want you out there in the sunshine. I want you feeling good. So many women don't feel good, and when we don't feel good, we can't do those things that are just near and dear to our heart and connect and love the people that are important to us and make those changes in the world. My daughter brought her friend yesterday, and she's writing her master's thesis, and she sat on my porch, and it's a topic that she's very passionate about, and it's her way of changing the world. And we need to be stepping into action so that we can participate and do our part. But if you don't feel good, if you're waking up just like, oh, 5 more minutes, that means you're not doing those things that you're passionate about. So sunshine, magnesium, dopamine, I want you having it. Now, if you want to be a part, oh, so glad you're here. It's so exciting to me to see people from YouTube. We in fact, some people don't want to be on a certain platform. I'm not going to say the name, but YouTube. So I'm so excited that I wrapped my head around the technology to use StreamYard so that I'm streaming in both places. So very glad that you're here. And I'm not sure how to say that name. Give me the phonetic spelling because names are so important. No, Jackie, there is not a code for the sale. We drop the prices online. So there's not a code for the sale. And I know a lot of you have really enjoyed that 20% off code that's been floating around a lot on Facebook. After the sale, that won't be there. We're just doing everything we can to maintain that magnesium cost and keep the price down. And so you won't see the, just that constant code that's going around. You'll see some specials, excuse me, you'll see some specials, but it won't be like a straight off percentage code, so no code. Oh, Tansy was a person I got to, that I got to meet a long time ago, Tansy, and she's in New Mexico again. Could the slow numbers also be associated with the fact that we're living in a world filled with lots of fear? Absolutely. Absolutely. We are connected. We are all connected. And we collectively have that fear happening, and it increased cortisol levels. And the higher, I don't want my shoes wet. And the higher our cortisol levels, the more we burn through magnesium. The more we burn through magnesium, the less we might have the dopamine, but it doesn't attach to the receptor and get utilized. So absolutely, Tansy. Oh, Leanne, thank you so much. Yes, and feeling good, isn't it? Oh, Krisha, thank you for the phonetic spelling. So glad to have you here from YouTube. So if you would like to be on the texting list, we have nailed some technology. It's so exciting. If you want to be on the texting list, you can text Good Life, no exclamation point or anything like that, just Good Life, one word, Good Life. Text that to 435-213-9048, and that will put you on the list. And I don't know, sometimes I have a quote that really inspires me. Sometimes I have like oh my gosh, did you know this? And it's so easy. If it gets to be annoying, like, oh my gosh, Krista, like enough already. If it gets to that point, I don't send those out super often. If it gets to that point, though, is all you have to do. I think I need to ask Shelly. It's either stop or cancel, and you just text it back, and you're off the list. Never to be bothered by text again until you want to get back on it. And that's where we're sharing every Friday. And so every Friday we look at people who were on the texting list and people who have left comments, because that comment is a micro action, and micro actions get you healthy. And if you're making micro actions there, you're making micro actions somewhere else. And so I want to be excited with you and say, I love micro actions. Oh, from England. Very rainy England. We have such dear friends that live in England, and our adopted grandma is Welsh. Oh yes, absolutely, Jackie. It's 435 213 9048. Now, as we're getting more and more people that are coming on the feed outside of the United States, that's only within the United States. We're looking to have to ship from a place over in Europe to be able to send magnesium everywhere. So we're looking at that in the spring. But for right now, it's only the United States. But I'm so glad that those people from outside the United States can hop on the live and be with us. So 435 213 9048. And if you notice, that's just our regular number that's on the web. So our landline number, and we can text you if you've got a question with your order or a problem or anything like that. You can just quick send a text. Oh, let me explain though. So sometimes I get trolled. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. And usually, most of the time, I've got my guard up, and I remember that their comment does not shine on me. It reflects who they are. Sometimes though, I let it get to me. And so as a boundary is what I'm doing is you'll get a text and then you have to click the link. You have to click the link and fill out your first and last name. I won't let strangers be on that list. It's a list of my friends, and friends know each other's names. And so if you don't do that, it automatically, like we don't do it, it just automatically deletes you. So you have to fill out that form with first and last name. First and last name. And that's a beautiful boundary that I've set up to protect myself from trolls. Last fall I had some that I really let get to me, and I even debated, do I even want to be online? Do I even? And so I do, and my answer to that is yes, I do. So I've just set up boundaries. Oh, you put a smile on my, oh, thank you. Oh, I love to share. I had my own health crash 20 years ago. Seizures, feeding tubes, catheters after a surgery. I had what's called Melissa syndrome, for some of you that are new. And Melissa syndrome is a allergic reaction to titanium. So I had a surgery done, and they put a cadaver graft that had mold and titanium screws to hold up that cadaver graft for my bladder, and it crashed my system. And my family lost so much, like irreplaceable things that my family lost. And so me sharing is a way of healing and a way of making sense of that 3.5 years that my young family didn't have a mom that was there. And so I love to share. Like it is my happy place. It is my dopamine high that I absolutely love. So I'm so glad that you were here with me today. But at the end of every call, end of every live, remember, I want to know, what was the most helpful for you? Tell me. Throw that up in the comment section. What was the most helpful for you? Because like today, we talked about some comments that were posted yesterday about confusion about the sun and the time of day to soak. Oh, you're so kind. You're truly so kind. Thank you. But I want to know, what was the most helpful, specific? Because here's the other thing. She made it around the rock, but I have not made it around yet. She did it. I want you, as you sort through your mind, all the things that you and I have talked about, as you sort through your mind, choosing what was most important to you files it differently, so you'll have better recall. And so what it does is it means you're taking micro actions on the live. When you take micro actions on the live, you're not scrolling and causing dopamine issues. You're creating strong levels, and you're creating patterns. And patterns are as important as the food that you eat. So I will go back through and read all of these. The comment part on StreamYard's really hard. So, but it's so important. And so that's why when we choose who I share magnesium with, we choose someone who has taken action and someone who's on that texting list, because if they've taken action here, I know they'll take action with the magnesium. Has anybody been around since the radio days? Does anyone remember my old radio show that I did on KVNU and KNR? Anyway, I did a radio show for about 7 years, and I would share magnesium on the radio show. And I cannot tell you how many people come up to me and say, oh yeah, I've still got that magnesium sitting on my shelf. And I want to say, give it back. It costs me money to give that to you. And I want them using it, not putting it on the shelf. That doesn't do any good, sitting on the shelf. I want you soaking in it. I want you sharing it with the people you love. I want you soaking your kids in it. And so if you are taking micro actions, then that's an indication you're taking micro actions for your health. And so that's why we choose that. Sunshine. Oh, it's so important, isn't it? Oh, Colleen, is that where we met? I had, I think it was last week or in the last little bit, we had a gentleman that reached into the business, and it brought back the sweetest memories, because I was afraid of my voice. I had lost my voice, not in a physical sense, but in emotional, mental sense. I was not connected to the power of my voice. And that radio show was so scary. I would cry in between takes and say, I don't want to talk, I don't want to talk. And he was so kind, and he'd say, Kristen, we heard some sniffles, but we're here, we got you. And so he's in assisted living now, so we sent him a little gift, and it made my day, because he was such an early on supporter. Yes, Sandra, you just summed it up. Dopamine, magnesium, and sun are so important. Get out there and walk and soak. I think that's the new company byline. Sandra, I've tried for 20 years to tell people what I do. Like, I don't know what I do. I talk a lot. But you just summed it up. Dopamine, magnesium, sun. Get out there and walk and soak. And with that wise wisdom for Sandra, I'm going to say goodbye and do my best to get around this curve and keep going. I do about 6 or 7 miles in the morning, and I would love to know what you do. And oh, the other thing we did, oh, this is so exciting too. So Shelly and I yesterday, we were just like rocking it, man. We were rocking it. And we created, like, you can get reminders, and you'll know what the topic is. So if you're interested in the topics, we're going to stay a couple days ahead of the topics. So I think we have the topics for Saturday and Sunday, and then we'll create the topics for next week. So if you're kind of like, oh, do I want to tune in? You can look on the topics, and they're upcoming. So I was excited about that. Have the best day. Bye.